Sup, my name is Ray for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Console, and I figured today was a good day to make this video. These are the top 10 cards that should come off the ban list. Now, this is only for the ban section, so if you would like next week for me to do a limited and semi-limited section and just basically go from there, then sure, why not? I'll do it for you guys. But I have a few other, lists planned out for the next couple of weeks. I feel like this is probably going to be a weekly thing. It's a good thing. Anyway, let's jump straight into the video today, and let's do this. Starting our list at number 10 is Cyberstein. The one thing people complain about in this game is there's lack of spice. It just gets dull. We've been in the same format constantly. Cyberstein has shown Japan that it has not broken any decks, in all honesty, and just at 3. I mean, 5,000 light points, that's not something you can really just give up and commend to. An effect filler drop just hurts for days. Or Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit hurts for days. Cyberstein's at the point can come back to 1, be hilarious, and make some for fun fucking decks that would basically spark some creativity. I'm looking at Blue Eyes Shining, just saying. In all seriousness, I know that Exo something would be really good with Cyberstein. I know that for a fact. Trust me, I do. But at the moment, Cyberstein is not really an issue that can easily come back. And again, if it was, we could just put it back on the ban list. I feel it would spice up the game. 5,000 light points is hefty enough for cost to balance itself out without any repercussions throughout the game and without any fizzle. But honestly, I think Cyberstein, it's been on the list for so long. It would be one of those what the fuck returns to come back to the TCG, and I honestly see it as something completely from left field, completely different, and could also just go, hey, we put it in a legendary collection because we want you to buy the shit out of it and go from there. It doesn't seem completely like a Konami move, but it seems like a creative one at that. And at the number 10 spot, Cyberstein is the most deserving, well, the least deserving, to be fair. There's more deserving cards. The number 1 spot's the most deserving. But it is one of the 10 that is deserving of coming off the ban list to spice this game back up. Moving on to number 9, we have Fiber Jar. I know many of you will probably go, well, Fiber Jar will just keep the game going endlessly. Not completely. Keep in mind, it has to go face down. Effect Filler is a thing. Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit's a thing. And about 30 other cards that now stop Fiber Jar. And in all honesty, what deck today is really going to use Fiber Jar in a competitive aspect or even a casual aspect? Unless you're basically building something for fun or you need a giant recycle, maybe it's a good one of Lightsworn. Not really, because we have Flycle to do the same job, or we have Beckoning Light to do the same job, or we have Saphira to do the same thing that basically Fiber Jar would be used for. So outside of that, what would you really benefit off using Fiber Jar for? Because everything has to go back from your hand, your field, your grave. The only area that's not touched is the Banish Zone. So Fiber Jar is slow. And with it being slow, and without it having really an FTK of its own, and I say that in that aspect because someone's probably going to bring up like, well, you could probably be using Blaze Phoenix and recycle shit in case your shit doesn't go off, but that's more of a Blaze Phoenix issue and less of a Fiber Jar issue. So Fiber Jar definitely is something I could see easily coming back. We have checks for it, and I know people are going to say, well, if you have a check to it, that doesn't really make it balanced. At the same time, Fiber Jar is really not a game-winning card. It doesn't deserve to be banned. I mean, let's honestly break this down. There's cards worse than Fiber Jar on the ban list that are more deserving of the ban. The Dragon Rulers are a good example of this. And you really think that Fiber Jar is going to win you a game with 500 attack, 500 defense, and a flip effect that returns everything, and you only get 5 new cards to hand, and you're basically restarting the damn game? Unless your name is Synchrons and you could flip that bitch really fucking quickly and make the Quasar with a double summon play, there was no way in hell that Fiber Jar is going to really be significant enough to actually define a format. Alright, moving on. Number 8. I'm a bit of kind of old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Here. Just saying. I've played since the start. I've really never had an issue with this card. It was powerful as anything, but at 1 it was fair. Solemn Judgment. Maybe I'm wrong for saying Solemn Judgment number 8, but I honestly feel it's one of those cards I'm okay with coming back, and I have multiple reasons for this. The main huge reason for Solemn Judgment, why I would like it back, is not because, hey, I negate anything in the world. It's because that 4,000 life point cost really did make the game a little more skillful than it really was. Now, there's other things on this list that I would have come back in conjunction with Solemn Judgment, so back row wasn't so powerful. And keep in mind that Denko Sekka, yes, as much of it is a check, Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning are the two main cards that are going to stop your Denko Sekka. So it's not completely an option to stop something like Solemn Judgment. Now, Solemn Judgment is an amazing card that basically can lock you out of, well, it can negate one straight card. But again, it's one of those things you can activate at any point of the game, but it took the most skill to know exactly when. It would cost you 4,000 life points if you fucked it up, and it would basically just, or even more, and it would screw you over if anything. I mean, right now the game's so fast that Solemn Judgment may not even be useful. I mean, Solemn Warning's not 100% useful all the time, let's be honest here. You know, we use more reactive trap cards like Mirror Force and shit, and we get a better benefit off of it. What benefit would Solemn Judgment really hold to the game outside of just creating a little more skill within the competitive scene? And I know many of you will care to disagree about my choices. That's perfectly fine. That's why I always tell you in the comments to leave your top 10 down in the comment section below and tell me exactly why. Not just debate me. There's a difference there. So Solemn Judgment, I really think it would improve the game, spice it up, put a little more skill inside the game. And I know some people will say, oh, there's still skill in the game, you're a scrub. Whatevs. I just see it as one of those things that can easily come back tomorrow and not really break the game. It could actually help it in some ways. It really could. Just another answer of things. Alright. My number 7 pick is Dark Magician of Chaos. Even if some of these cards I mentioned come off the ban list, the pool of spell cards and the usability of decks that would use Dark Magician of Chaos are very limited. Pretty much, I think the only deck that may use Dark Magician and Chaos, but they have better time just summoning out their Monarchs, is Mega Monarchs. Because they have the 2 Tribute engine. I just don't see that happening because, like I just said, Mega Monarchs have their own shit that they want to bring out, and Dark Magician and Chaos is not it. The one deck that may get the most benefit from this card would be Spellbooks. Not even Chaos, would just be Spellbooks. Spellbooks would be able to bring it out, they would get a spell card back, and there were a lower tier deck that could use some of the love without breaking the deck. So it helps a deck that hasn't been seen in a while, that used to formerly be meta, and it helps the fan base actually be able to play a little more competitive and have another monster to drop on the board. It's also a 2 tribute required monster, and yes, I know there's probably loops for that, but again, as we've done and seen with BLS, that can be changed or altered depending on how it's needed. So my number 7 pick, Dark Magician of Chaos. My number 6, still one of the cards that never made sense to me why it went on the ban list, is Morphing Jar number 2. It seems like it went on the ban list because of Morphing Jar number 1. But I'm only mentioning Morphing Jar number 2 here on the number 6 spot, and the reason for this is simple. Morphing Jar number 2 is a card that was hit because of something else that basically was an FTK that they wanted to make sure did not come back. Morphing Jar number 2 by itself is not, or ever will be, a true issue. If your deck is running 2 monsters, I'm sorry, your deck is flawed through the freaking, just completely flawed at this point. 2 monsters, really? Morphing Jar 2 basically is not going to hurt 90% of the decks out there, and the other 10, well, either they don't exist or they're just bad deck builds. I'm sorry, it's just true. I feel Morphing Jar number 2 can come back tomorrow and not have any impact on the game and just clear up a little room on the ban list and eventually go back to 3. Maybe I'm wrong for saying that, and maybe I haven't seen how broke it apparently is. But like Magician of Faith, it's one of those cards that has just been on the list for too long. It's been there. It's done its jail time. It should go on parole. It should get the hell out and just never go back on, because honestly, I don't see any FTKs coming out of Morphing Jar number 2. If someone can link me or show me something that is a Morphing Jar number 2 FTK, maybe we could figure out exactly why that would be an issue. But till then, I don't see it as an issue. I really think it could easily come back at the number 6 spot. We are halfway done with our list. This is where shit gets crazy. So put your get your weapons ready to do a riot, because I know there's gonna be one in the comment section. My number 5 pick is Chaos Emperor Dragon with the OCG errata. If Trishula can come back, Chaos M could come back. It does not work in conjunction with Light Pulsar Dragon. Therefore, if I'm going to blow it up, it's going to be shit. The biggest thing this has going for it is that it's 3,000 attack points. It helps Chaos Dragons. It helps Chaos in general. And it basically also helps Lightsworn have another way to get Eclipse Wyvern to work inside their deck. So I see that mostly as benefits because it gives a little bit creativity there. Now, everything that Chaos Emperor Dragon would normally work with doesn't work with. And the other problem is that Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit, Effect Veller, and Maxi all exist now to help you get shit back. So those are things. Just saying, you know, there's plenty of ways. Most decks are not going to be affected by Chaos Emperor Dragon, number 1. Most decks will not use Chaos Emperor Dragon because they have better cards to summon than Chaos M. Lower tiers will use Chaos Emperor Dragon to benefit their decks as they should. So this is a good health spike within the game. It doesn't hurt the meta. It doesn't hurt the competitive scene. It makes everyone happy. It gives players who are nostalgic a new reason to come back to the game. And it also basically gets an errata that balances the living shit out of it. At the same time, one can make the argument that it's still scary. It's 3,000 attack. How many monsters have 3,000 attack that come out of decks every day of the week? How many times we have 101 Castel, Direwolf just to deal with that shit? And I know what you're going to say. Checks don't answer for it, but still. Bottomless Trap Holes, Solemn Warning, Torrential Tribute, Ring of Destruction. You can chain all these cards to the summon, but you cannot chain Chaos Emperor Dragon's effect anymore because that priority ruling went out the window years ago. So that's something to keep in mind there. My number 4 spot, and my hero players will love me for this. My number 4 spot is simple. It's Stratos. I still don't believe it should be on the ban list. Does it need to come back? Absolutely not. Is it just because I'm a hero player? No. Is it because I want to clear up the ban list? Yes. Is it because I just don't think this card wins games by itself? Yes. The reason it was limited is because of the massive search pool it has. I give you that much. But at the same time, Stratos is not going to push heroes any further than they already are. Let's break down the situation. When you play a Hero Lives, you're going to go for Shadow Mist. You're not going to go for Stratos. You want Shadow Mist to get you Mass Change. The only thing that Stratos opens to the deck is an additional search, back row hate if you choose that over the search, and the fact that it's a wind, which gives us Tornado, and a Kamikaze fusion. So that's 4 pros over any negatives anyone would have. We have more answers to the Stratos. We have more things to go out with a Stratos. I think people are just looking at the fact that it'll be splashed everywhere. When you say splashed everywhere, there's 30 other things that get splashed everywhere. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! This is what happens. And honestly, we're way past that. You can use the malicious and D-draw thing. Yeah, but we could still do that with Shadow Mist right now. When Shadow Mist is destroyed, you get the malicious. And yeah, it's a little bit slower, or when it goes to the grave. So if it's a little bit slower, here's what I do. I play a Hero Lives, I get him on board, or I just summon him, I play the Mass Change, or I synchro with him, whatever the fuck the case is, and I still get my search like I would with Stratos. 90% of the time, maybe this is just me, I want to summon Shadow Mist over Stratos. The only time I really want to summon Stratos is basically when I can make plays with Stratos. So 90% of the times, Shadow Mist is going to be the more dominant hero to summon because it gets you more shit. Stratos is a good follow-up play for destroying some back row and making sure your Dark Law stays alive. So every argument that people have about Stratos not being okay to come off the list, it's unfounded and untrue. I'm sorry, it's just how it is. Stratos is one of those things that was just hit because the player base asked Konami left and right to hit it. But it's something that can easily come back, spike in creativity for lower tiers, and it would not break heroes. Heroes would not break with Stratos. I'm sorry. If you think they're going to break with Stratos, then they are already broken. That's how I look at it. And they're easy enough to counter as it is. So Stratos is not a threat. My number 3 spot, just like Stratos, Sengen. Tour Guides at 1. There's never been a more perfect time to bring back Sengen. meta decks will not touch Sengen because they have their own damn searchers at this point. The one and only deck that would benefit, keyword, could benefit from Sengen, and I personally wouldn't run it due to the fact that I want to use my normal summon for something else, would be Synchrons. Now, you could make the argument that certain Chaos decks or this or that could get the benefit. You know what's going to get the most benefit? Raccoons, Ojamas, low tier decks that could use a little extra love, and that's primarily where I focused on this list. The lower tier stuff. I'm not looking to make strong decks stronger. Sengen is one of those cards that's balanced. I'm not asking for Witch of the Black Forest that has synergy within Jinzo Dark Arm and the Mega Monarchs, and that's asking for some trouble. Now, I may be incorrect by saying Witch of the Black Forest is asking for trouble, but Sengen, on the other hand, I think we can all come to a consensus the best thing that it does is get you Ghost Ogre, Maxi, or Effect Beller. Because in all honesty, what else would you really want to grab? Those are the best cards to grab with Sengen. You can make the argument that Dark Worlds would get a little more love because they can use Sengen to get Torgai to get Grapha back from the graveyard. My mind is going. But at the same time, that's a play that they can make even without the Sengen, because they have Snow. They have their own Searcher. Frogs would get a benefit from Sengen. True. But when was the last time you saw a Frog deck top or be a threat? Just saying. I feel, honestly, Sengen's perfect at the number 3 spot because it's one of the 3 cards that should come off the ban list tomorrow, in all honesty. Now, the second choice I have here is going to be a little bit debatable between the community, and I'm perfectly fine with it. Regardless of your stance on it, you can understand why I say the following. Heavy Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster, depending on what would be more beneficial to the game at the moment. I honestly feel Harpies would be better, but I feel Heavy Storm has a better cost. I know with Pendulums, Heavy Storm is more usable for them than something like Harpy's Feather Duster. I understand that. So that's why I'm kind of including both here and going with whatever one would be the beneficial one to the game. Only one, not both. Only one. The problem with this game is not the lack of creativity, because obviously we've shown here that still exists. Old decks can still be powerful. New decks are still the shit. Everything is Yu-Gi-Oh! In general has synergy with one another. The one problem with this game, and has been an underlying issue, is that it has gotten stale. The big fix to that is to shake the living crap of the game from which it stands. Heavy Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster, either one of those will do that. The problem with Giant Trunade, that many of you make the argument over Giant Trunade, it does exactly the biggest issue that we do not want to have in this game. It puts the Pendulum Scales back in your hand. It puts the Fiendish Chain back in your hand. It helps more than it serves to protect and shake up the game. Feather Duster and Storm both basically do something different. They destroy them. There's no more issue. Some of you will go, well, you're wrong because of this or that reason. Well, if you're setting 5 cards and I summon Denko Sekka, she doesn't destroy them, but you're still getting punished in the same way. Therefore, there's your understanding of the game. You need to understand, if you're setting 5 and I have a way to punish you, that's because you made a wrong play early on. That's not just luck. And for those of you who are going to say, well, Heavy Storm and Feather Duster promote OTKs, the decks that are coming out, I'm looking at Magispectors especially, the decks that come out, they don't give a fuck about your back row. The new Monarchs, they don't give a fuck about your back row. They have cards that protect them. They're going to sit there, they're going to still do it. What is Feather Duster going to do to stop that? What is Heavy Storm going to do to stop that? Nothing. But what it does do is it shakes up the game. And that's something that gets more players into the game, gets higher YCS attendance, and gets everyone in the community to be happy. Majority of the community. And this has been proven that YCS have more attendance at a Heavy Storm format, a Harpy's Feather Duster format, however you want to phrase it, back row hate format, than they do currently. And that's not me trying to sway the minds of my viewers or the minds of the community here. That's just me being straightforward with you. I looked at the facts. People like it because it's exciting. There's a thrill rush. when you see that Harpy's Feather Duster in your hand, and you gotta know when to play it, because after it's played, you can go back to setting your 5 and playing the game like you do now. There is no excuse to the reason why Feather Duster or Storm cannot come back. That has been proven time and time again, that even in OCG, as it lives, and yes, it's a different format, it's a different game, but there are similarities that happen between the TCG and OCG, and there's a good 90% of the time that when a deck tops out there, it's topping out here a good chunk of the time, Necrots being the big main thing here. Konami wants to promote Necrots, get rid of the old shit. They want to promote Monarchs. Feather Duster and Storm help with that, because it protects them when they come out. Konami wants to push Infernoids. Infernoids suffer from one thing. They die to back row because of the way their resource system works. It helps them. UAs, it helps them. They have the field card, but still, it helps them because they have their own built-in protection. This is not something I'm trying just to throw on the list because I love these cards. It's something that would shake up the game, and it's something that would make it exciting for everyone. Because we've been in terrible formats. And honestly, it's going to get worse because of power creep, but that'll be a totally different thing. At a different, video and stuff. But Storm, Feather Duster, it's not going to make it any worse. It's going to make it better, believe me. It will shake up the game like it needs it. Because everyone goes, it's dull, it's boring, it's same old shit. You need a shake up of the game, there you go. Alright, to finish this video, my number 1 spot is going to the one card that was least deserving of the hit. In all honesty, this card should just be limited and be done. Lava Lull Chain. Now, I know there is like a 50-50, cut, just like Feather Duster and Storm. I don't feel Lava Lull Chain's bad for the game. I feel it's okay for the game. At 1, it's fine. Anything above 1, it's an issue. That's been proven. Anything lower than 1 is stupid. Because the one of, how many times are you going to really put it to the field unless you're setting up? And if those decks are setting up, don't those decks have issues already? I think that would be a consensus. Lava Lull Chain's one of those exceeds that should just come off the ban list. My number 11 spot would probably been Zen Mighty or Gateway of the Six. But in all honesty, Lava Lull Chain was an undeserving hit in my eyes. Honestly, I don't care if it comes back or not anymore. I just think it was stupid for Konami to put it on the ban list to start, because it was undeserving of it. It was a way to hit Necrots and Urkamus, but yet they're still topping. Yet they're still one of the top 2 decks that take most of the tables. Or top 5, or top 3 decks right now, meta. They're still, it's still a thing. What Konami has done with Lava Lull Chain is hit the lower tier decks. Heraldics, Battling Boxers, Infernities, things that would use it to get their stuff going. Creativity has gotten a little bit slower because of it, but in all honesty, I'm gonna leave it at that. Lava Lull Chain, number 1 spot. So recap. Number 1, Lava Lull Chain. Number 2, either Heavy Storm or Harpy's Feather Dust or whatever's better for the game. Number 3, Sengen. Number 4, Stratos. Number 5, Chaos Emperor Dragon with the errata. Number 6, Morphing Jar. Number 2, number 7, Dark Magician and Chaos. Number 8, Solemn Judgment. Number 9, Fiberchar. And number 10, Cyberstein. Let me know your top 10 down in the comments below, and make sure to check out our other videos that are coming up in a little player now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check out the videos in the annotations in the little box, and you just click it and it will take you there. By the way, when this goes up, I still can't make the announcement that we're making on Facebook, but next Wednesday we're launching something exciting as anything. So next Wednesday, drop by and I'll announce it here just as much as I'll announce it everywhere on my social media stuff. But you could follow me down on Facebook or Twitter, whatever you prefer, down in the comment